Tell me, my friends, did any of you guys go see the new Spider-Verse film in theaters? I haven't. I don't really plan on giving that movie my money, but I know a lot of folks have. It crushed it at the box office, and for those that enjoyed it and thought they got their money's worth, good for them. Did you find yourself questioning if Gwen Stacy was trans or not in the film? No? Well, then you're probably like the vast majority of other film goers, but apparently that question is being raised. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and we're going to go over this bananas article by the Mary Sue about whether or not Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Verse film is trans. Is Gwen Stacy a trans girl in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? Some fans think so, by Julia Glassman, June 2nd, 2020. Let's take a look at Julia for a moment and see if we can all connect some dots here. Julia Glassman, she, they, they got a they in the pronoun, so they're at least not 100%, like straight or cis or whatever you want to call it, holds an MFA from the Iowa Writers Workshop, has been covering feminism in media since 2007 as a staff writer for the Mary Sue. Julia covers Marvel movies, folk horror, sci-fi, yeah. Does she have a Twitter? Let's take a look. Oh, goody goody, we found her. Here's Julia Glassman, culture writer for the Mary Sue, occasional essayist, storyteller, and tarot reader, because, of course, a she, they, feminist for the Mary Sue would also be a tarot reader, aka as a West, Gods and Radicals author. All views are my own. No, they're not. All views are not your own. All views are part of the machine that you've been just feeding into. These are also she, her. What? I thought that you were a she, they though. I'm so confused. Well, now that we got that cleared up, let's read the actual article. Gwen Stacy has returned in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and incredibly, she's even better than she was in the first movie, Into the Spider-Verse. Gwen, aka Spider-Woman, is... Really? I thought it was Spider-Gwen. I mean, I've got some of her comics. They're called Spider-Gwen, but okay, fair enough. Is a drum-playing, chucks-wearing, reality-hopping web-slinger, and some fans have spotted clues that she may be trans. The theory started circulating on Twitter early on Thursday, June 1st, when the movie had its soft release in theaters nationwide. And then we got this, person here. I have an opinion theory on Gwen Across the Spider-Verse. I'm wondering how true it can be. IDK, this is crazy to say this, but I feel like Gwen might be trans. Whether she actually is or isn't doesn't make me mad, but if she is, I hope they shine more light on it. I mean, why? Why is it need... Guys, first of all, this is a derivative character. I mean, I own some of her comics. I don't know why. I was still very into comics at the time and hadn't realized the absolute downhill spiral they were going. The point is, she's not a very great character in her comics. Now, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm going to reserve judgments. She wasn't particularly awful in the original, if I remember correctly. I only saw it once in theaters, but the point is, why would we need to shine light on whether this character is trans or not? What does that add to the story? Nothing. The evidence in the movie is subtle, but once you see it, you can't deny there's something there. At one point, in Gwen's bedroom, you see a large trans flag over her door with the words, "Protect Trans Kids," written on it. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean Gwen is trans. That just means the people making the movie wanted to shove their agenda in it, and also expose the fact that they believe there's such a thing as trans kids. Spoiler alert, there aren't. Children can't consent to that sort of thing. But yeah, no, this does not mean that Gwen is trans. She probably just has some sort of made-up dumb ideology that mirrors what the creators and the writers' ideology is, because let's face it, no one nowadays knows how to write a character that is not some sort of fucking self-insert. Some moviegoers reported spotting a trans flag on her father's jacket, and more than one viewer noted the color scheme of Gwen's universe contains the same pinks, blues, and whites that you find in the trans flag. I'm going to give some credit to the creators here. I doubt that's anything to do with the tranny stuff. Whenever the Spider-Gwen comics first came out, a lot of the cover art had that sort of color scheme. And this is, I'm talking like 2014 or whatever, 2016, whatever this was, well before all the trans stuff was really, truly a big thing. This is like almost a decade ago. They're probably just mirroring her comic book, cover art in her universe because, well, that's a really cool Easter egg for deep-cut Spider-Man fans. I would totally believe the artists were doing something like that before they were trying to use the entire world being trans colors to, maybe hint that Gwen Stacy, or I guess we can call her Gary Stacy, George Stacy, whatever, is in fact trans. Pride Month, plus Across the Spider-Verse month, and we have trans Gwen Stacy. This makes me so happy. Why? Why, Eliza? Why does it make you happy? Why do you feel the need to care so much about the sexual orientations or the trans proclivities of fictional characters? I mean, look, you should be able to see yourself in the soul of a character regardless of what they identify as. Eliza, I can already tell by a post like this, you are a shallow individual that does not care about the context of character, only the skin-deep, superficial crap that we should all be able to ignore. Mild spoilers for Into the Spider-Verse, Gwen's father's jacket having a trans flag, Gwen having a protect trans kids flag on her wall, constantly being colored in trans flag colors. Oh, I know what you are, my beloved. I hope to God this is incorrect, just so these individuals will, like, cry and whine and give up and denounce Spider-Man as, you know, what was it, transphobic, that's the word. Oh, what? They didn't make Gwen Stacy a canonically straight character? By the way, an interracially beloved character like Gwen Stacy ends up hooking up with Miles Morales. They fall in love, and there's an alternate universe where they have a child together, so it's an interracial, you know, marriage. You would think, or at least love, you would think that that would be enough for people, but no, what? She's not trans? Marvel are bigots. Like, it's gonna be the exact same thing we saw with the death of Miss Marvel relatively recently, but people are just gonna cry harder because it's for an actual, I don't know, popular character. One Twitter user even sees a slight difference in Gwen's facial features between the two films, seeing slightly masked undertones in Across the Spider-Verse. Oh my god, they made Gwen's appearance have slightly masked undertones in the new Spider-Verse. Anyone trying to claim she isn't trans is lying. Look how they updated her character design. Let's take a look at this buffoonery. Oh, we're unable to see this because they limit to see who can view tweets. Okay, well, I guess we're not going to see this buffoonery, everyone. But yes, I highly doubt the artist went in there and just gave her slightly more masculine features to signify that she's trans. No, there's probably just a bit better technology now than when the original came out, which was like 5 years ago or something, and they were able to do something a little bit artistically different. Also, some time has passed. Maybe they want to show that she's aged a bit. I guarantee you, there aren't such subtle nuances and differences to indicate that she's trans. That's just not really going to be a thing. You're looking for this. You're trying to project onto a character because you so desperately need to see yourself in these characters. You can't enjoy or love a character unless you can see yourself in them. Let me tell you, guys, I very much adore the character of Frieza in Dragon Ball Z. I am not a genocidal, multi-universe busting destroyer evil emperor that has a penchant for hating on, you know, other races, calling Saiyans monkeys and whatnot. That just ain't who your boy Leon is. Do I love Frieza as a character? Absolutely. There's just something great about that it feels so good to be bad type of character that, you know, their motivations are completely simplistic. I don't have to identify with the character to enjoy them. You can't say the same thing about these individuals on Twitter. They have to see themselves in the most superficial way possible to even give the character a chance. It's quite frankly sad. Sure, some of these clues could point to Gwen and her father being allies, or simple differences in the animation style. Oh my goodness, the Mary Sue actually speaking facts for once. Good job, Mary Sue. The color and flags could be a subtle statement of support for the trans communities on behalf of the filmmakers. That I could totally believe. We all know that communist Marxists make these movies in Hollywood. We see the support trans kids flag. I can absolutely believe that there are individuals making this. They're like, yeah, let's subtly show support for trans people. We don't want to overtly show support for trans people. We don't want to end up like Bud Light or Target, but we can do it subtly. You have to admit those are a lot of clues, though. No, they're not. There's not. First of all, you listed 3. This is like a 2.5 hour movie. You listed 3 things. That's not a lot of clues. That's a lot of projection. Though, even if Gwen being trans turns out not to be canon, it's not at all unreasonable reading of her character. Yes, it is. It is absolutely an unreasonable reading of her character because A, she is based on existing comic source material where she is not trans. She's just a Gwen Stacy that did not die, unlike in the main 616 or 616 universe. She's not trans. She's just that universe's Peter Parker. Peter died in her universe. She's the one that got the spider powers. And again, she's a very derivative character. So yes, it is incredibly unreasonable reading of the character because it is pure projection. At the very least, Gwen's story is a powerful metaphor for the struggles that trans kids face. This paragraph contains spoilers for Across the Spider-Verse. Alrighty guys, I'm going to read this paragraph. Go ahead and skip to the time code down below if you want to get spoiler free, because I don't care about spoilers. Like all too many trans kids, Gwen leads a double life, afraid to reveal her true self to her dad. When she does tell him who she is, he initially rejects her, having fallen prey to lies and misconceptions about her identity. When the two of them finally do reconcile, it's because he's able to look past what he thought he knew and embrace her for who she is. Alright, if you guys are back and you skipped that, basically, it's not even that massive of a spoiler, and it is very, very generic. Yes, it technically could allude to, you know, something that trans people struggle with. It could also be, you know, anyone that struggles with talking to their parents or has a rocky relationship with their parents. It is not an exclusively trans thing. It is so bananas, like the idea that, oh, only the LGBT community have trouble talking to their parents. Like, man, I couldn't even tell my dad that I needed a razor because I was embarrassed about it when I was like 13 or whatever years old and started hitting puberty. I was like, oh my god, if I tell my dad that I need a razor for my face, he's gonna know there's hair growing on my dick. I don't want my dad thinking about my dick. Like, I couldn't approach him with that. It's difficult to tell your parents stuff sometimes. That's not just a struggle that the gays go through. So is Gwen Stacy canonically trans in the Spider-Verse trilogy? We may never know for sure, but reading her as trans, if you're inclined to do so, adds even more depth and meaning to her already magnetic character. How does it add more depth? How does making her trans, or reading her as trans, if she isn't trans, add more depth? That just what somebody identifies as does not add depth to their character. What do they believe as their core values, their morals, the things they would fight for, the things that they would die for, what they love and will hold on to and protect no matter what? That is what makes a character deep. Luke Skywalker's unwavering faith that there was still good in Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, his father, that is depth. Luke Skywalker could have that same unwavering belief regardless of whether he was trans or not. Him being trans would not give him depth. His ideologies, what he believes in, and the lengths he will go to fight for what he believes in, that is where the depth would lie. Quit spoon-feeding us this bogus that, oh my goodness, it's so deep to have LGBTQ characters. People in the real world are LGBT. They're still just people. It ain't that big a damn deal, and it certainly doesn't add depth. What it does add is an additional layer of lazy, pandering bogus to get that gay dollar at the box office. That's what it adds. Guys, I can comfortably say that no, she is not trans. She is absolutely, at least again, if they're going to respect the source material, which admittedly, the first Spider-Verse film did relatively well, and I've heard some really good things about the sequel. I'm just not supporting the film because, frankly, I don't believe in giving companies like that money, but I've heard that even those relatively support the source material. In fact, a lot of people think that they even improved on Miles Morales in the movies. Now, as someone who read the original Miles Morales run when it first started in the Ultimate Spider-Man books, I didn't really have an issue with him. I mean, I do think that this is well before all the pandering and race swap characters really became normal, so it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Plus, I was a big fan of Spider-Man 2099 growing up. I've got that entire run as well. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, guys. Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, that was my absolute shit. I love it. So, yeah, when Miles Morales came out, I wasn't super anti-Miles Morales. I thought that he got a little bit too much hype for me. Like, this was around the same time when you go on Facebook and there's a Deadpool meme everywhere. Like, guys, yeah, I like Deadpool. In fact, I probably liked Deadpool a lot longer than any of you even know who he was. But there's more out there than just Deadpool. Miles Morales was just a bit overhyped. All in all, I didn't hate him. Now, a lot of these race swap characters that have come afterwards, my god, they are far more insufferable. But at the end of the day, I think these movies do a fine, or at least the first one, does a fine job at actually making Miles Morales an even more interesting character than even the comics did. And if people love the sequel, awesome, go for it. But Gwen? No, Gwen ain't trans if they're going to actually hold true to the source material, which these movies have done relatively well. People are just projecting, looking for things that ain't there because they want to start something online. They want to feel represented when that is not the sort of representation you should be feeling. You should feel represented for the type of person you are on the inside. And whether you change your genitalia or want to go by male or female pronouns or what the hell ever, that shouldn't change the type of person you are in your soul. That is what matters. And that is what people should really want represented in them. The goodness, or I guess in some cases, evil that is within their hearts. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments below, or let me know on Twitter where you can find me at BoltTheWord. We are just shy of 1,000 subscribers. I'm talking less than 10 away. So if you see this, please do subscribe. It would be amazing to me. It would help me out so much. I can only do this because of you. I am a nerdy news channel. I do nerdy news every day, not just about superhero movies like Spider-Man and whatnot, but also magic, anime, Dungeons and Dragons, you name it, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. And this has been Words of Paradise.